About a half a mile up that road. We've got a boy hurt real bad. There's deputies up there already. Go!
All films are a positive experience to me because I look upon the whole thing. It's not a cure for cancer. It's, you know, it's the circus, and I love to play in the circus. So I'm almost never not happy to be on a set and being in the make-believe world. That's my favorite place. And so it was like so many films. I knew we weren't going to rent our tux for the Academy Awards, but we were going to have a good time, and we did, mostly.
Contact me as soon as you can get hold of Sheriff Barker. Ask him to meet me over at the Michael Mayer Hospital.
I managed to take on so many different roles in the period during the 1970s because I never met a film role I didn't like, and I took everything that came. I'm a working actor. I did not wait a year for a picture, and gosh, there was a lot of product then, and a lot of independent product was really coming along. I came along before independents were really big. It was only Cassavetes. And then it opened up, and we had a whole lot of fun.
Well, what can we do for the Sheriff's Department on a rainy Saturday night?
How many units you got out?
4.
When Charles B. Pierce, the producer, sent me a script, wasn't much of a script, but it had the riveting, in those days, the riveting story of the Texarkana hooded killer, which in those days was unheard of. Today it wouldn't even make the front page. I think he only killed about 4 or 5 people. It wouldn't make it today, but then it was a true terror. And I remember the terror. It was on the cover of, I believe, Life magazine. The people in the town sent their children away from the town because of the fear of this loose, slaughtering murderer. And there were no children in the town for like 2 years.
Patrolman Benson speaking. Yes, Mrs. Connor, this is Sparkplug. What's your problem?
Charles B. Pierce was a complete wild man. Often didn't know what he was doing, but had the guts and the gumption to proceed forward and learn what was needed. And we had a hell of a good time together, chased a lot of women. And in between, occasionally we made a film, you know.
Captain Morales?
Yes, sir.
I'm Deputy Norman Ramsey.
Glad to know you, sir.
We're glad to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Ben Johnson, I don't like the word hero, but I did 2 pictures with Ben, and I knew him quite well, and he was the best cowboy. He and Harry Carey Jr. were the 2 best cowboy actors, in my opinion, that ever walked. And he was the real deal. What you got on the screen was Ben. And he was a wonderful Oklahoma guy, raised out there, and man, could he cowboy up. And he had that great gift that's beyond acting. He simply, when he talks on camera or off, he simply tells you the truth. There is nothing around it. And that's a great natural gift that he had, and I just thought the world of him. Dawn Wells was more beautiful than the film deserved, and quite good in it also. I remember that very well. And I wish we had we worked together on we met on an episode of a series called The Invaders out in the desert somewhere. And she was the sweet person that she's always been.
Captain Morales. Thank you.
This is Chief Sullivan.
Captain, we're certainly glad you're here. Thank you, sir.
I have memories of the people of Texarkana and the fact that they were the sweetest people in the world. They were glad to have us there. It was fun. It's always fun to have a movie company come in because we're like a gentle marauding army, and everybody has a good time, and some people make some money, you know. So I have that memory.
Hey, it's Unit 2. Just heard some shots down this road somewhere. Get some backup units in here, quick!
We did a lot of stuff in the rain. I remember one, I was searching for the bad guy, and it was raining cats and dogs. It was night, and the crew was off there, and I'm looking about. And this big moccasin came into the scene, and the whole crew's screaming, "Andy, moccasin, snake, snake!" And I turned my head away and say, "I see I see the snake. Keep rolling." I didn't want to have to go back and roll again. So the snake and I were close friends for a little while. Then they shot him. I wrote the last fifth of the picture because it didn't have an ending. And the train and all of that, I wrote all of that because we had no ending. And so I consequently fictionalized the deputy and the sheriff. There was never a chase or any of that, but we had to have some sort of an ending because they never got the guy. And I particularly remember the train sequence because both Ben and I were so hungover we could hardly turn our heads without fainting. And it actually added to the picture because we were very strained. That was a tough day. That was a bad day. We'd had a wonderful night, I was told.
Damn! I think he's done it to us again.
Actually, the film is very true to the actual events. We didn't have a ton of money, so some of it looks pretty much like a bargain basement deal, but the intent was very legit, and we had a lot of local actors, and they put their best efforts forward, and some of them were very cute.
What the hell's wrong with you? What's the hand?
The film is a cult classic, and I'm not surprised, I'm shocked that it is. I'm shocked at all the films. So many of the films that I did are now called cult classics. That means they didn't make any money in the beginning. I never thought anyone would see these films more than once. You know, those were the days. You know, I did a lot of spaghetti westerns in those days in Europe. They showed up. You know, we now have 100 channels, you know, that have to be filmed. And so all sorts of obscure movies that various of us did now come back to haunt us. But outside of all my joking, we had a hell of a good time, and we did our best with what we had. And I'm not unhappy with that.
Well, I'm trained as an actress, so after Gilligan's Island, I decided that to go back to the stage would be better than trying to play the little farm girl for the rest of my life. So I went back to the stage for 2 years and grew, you know, and played a hooker, actually. The first role was Owl and the Pussycat. I went as far from Marianne as I could get. I had just finished a film with Charlie Pierce called Winterhawk, which I had starred in and narrated. And I was living in Nashville, and I got a call one morning, and he said, "Dawn, I've got an actress that can't carry groceries and talk at the same time. Can you help me out? Can I send my plane and pick you up for a couple days' work?" I said, "Sure, Charlie." So he flew me into Texarkana and picked me up at the airport, and we whipped out and got some costume done or whatever. I don't remember what it was. And it was about a day and a half that I shot, and it was quite an experience for me. I had heard the story, but I had no idea what my character didn't have much to do. And I had wanted to really talk to the woman who still lived. She was one of the survivors, but she wouldn't talk to me. It was an interesting time.
Floyd? Floyd?
Yeah?
Did you hear somebody walking outside?
I'd like to describe to you the night that she did survive. She was shot through the mouth coming out the back of her head, and she crawled to a farmhouse, and because a dog was barking, he was following her, the killer was following her, the dog was barking and brought the lights on in the house, and the people saved her life. But it was funny, as we were filming, Charlie said, "Now, we're going to do this." It was about 1 in the morning. "You're going to crawl through this cornfield. Now, don't break the cornfields, because they're charging me $1.50 per corn stalk. So even though you're acting, make sure you don't break the corn stalks." And then, of course, being local, I had gone through Winterhawk with Charlie, where he had a horse that was had fallen, and actually we had to shoot the horse. So there's a lot of stuff when you're shooting on location. You've got wranglers with their own animals. And the animal that was the dog was a pit bull, and it was somebody's. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was crawling through the grass, and the house was in front of me, and the lights were out until the dog was barking, and the dog was just a stake in the ground with a little chain. And Charlie had said, now, if this dog is vicious, oh yes, it's vicious. Well, if he gets out of hand, we're going to shoot him if he goes after Don. No problem, no problem. Okay, so I'm trying to be brave, and I'm crawling in the grass, and I'm getting closer and closer, and all of a sudden, you know how the dog's lips go up, and the fangs are going, and he's going like this at the stake, and the stake comes out of the ground. Well, all I can think of is I'm a dead man. So I put my face down on the grass and my hands over my back, thinking if he's going to get me, he's going to get my back. But about 30 guns went off. Everybody was trying to shoot the dog. Never got the dog. Never got anybody else. But that was more frightening than the movie to me. And then the funny part of it is, it was, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning when they took me back to my hotel, and I had this bathrobe on, and my hair was all matted with blood and blood running down my face. And as I walked into the Ramada Inn, the manager just fainted dead away. So he thought it really happened. It was quite an experience for me. I thought it was very frightening, and especially when you know that it's a true story. I thought he did a really good job. It was a positive experience doing that film because it was frightening, and it was kind of fun to play that kind of a character. Looking at myself doing it, I overdid it. When I look at it, I go, oh, I didn't believe myself for 5 minutes. But I think coming into something like that, and Charlie was a rounder. He was quite an adventuresome person, Charlie was. He really was. He had an eye for the bizarre and a creativeness. I mean, the film, the photography was just beautiful, just beautiful. I think it's interesting to see that it has sustained. There's something there, you know, like The Exorcist and things. You still remember things that are frightening. Now we're worried about big shooters, you know, everybody's shooting 40 and 50 people at a time. But this in a small town, I grew up in a small town, and it could be extremely frightening to everybody, especially lovers' lanes and things like that. I think it's going to have another resurgence if this is what we're doing.